Tonight at 6 o'clock, a Portland man forced to pay thousands of dollars to repair a sidewalk that no one complained about to begin with. And the response from City Hall may have you shaking your head. Plus, Katt Williams is off the hook for his criminal charges in Oregon. But new complaints say the comedian left behind a trail of unpaid bills.
It was a lot of work, no compensation, nothing to show for it.
One car, 2 different license plates. Is it legal? You asked, we verified. And an early morning chase, a truck in the river, and a daring rescue to save a dog trapped inside. KGW News at 6 starts now.
And thank you for joining us for KGW News at 6. Our top story tonight, a KGW investigation.
A Portland man facing thousands of dollars for sidewalk repair charges that he says simply weren't needed. His sidewalk, he says, was fine, but the city of Portland says it was a hazard and had to be repaired. So they did the work and sent him the bill.
KGW's Chris Willis is here. Chris, this story, an example of you can't fight City Hall.
No, you can't. You can try, though, and Kyle Bell did because no one complained about his sidewalks, even though the Portland Bureau of Transportation's policy is strictly complaint-based. He says PBOT cut corners, broke their own regulations, changed the rules, omitted work orders, and created a series of mistakes, and then charged him thousands of dollars for the work.
I don't know. Everything becomes sort of opinion at some point, and the opinion of the homeowner doesn't count.
This is homeowner Kyle Bell, and this is the sidewalk in front of his house, or at least it was, until the city of Portland told him it was dangerous and hazardous to everyone who used it. They told him to fix it. Total cost, $7,321. He couldn't believe it.
Was it a big, huge gap line?
No, it was just a line.
Was half of it up 2 inches or something?
There was no tripping hazards, nothing was raised at all.
Sidewalk repair in Portland is complaint-based, but no one complained about Kyle's sidewalk. Instead, someone did complain about the sidewalk up the street. But PBOT's policy is once they get a complaint, they inspect the entire block face to see if anyone else is a problem.
Does it rub you the wrong way that it's a complaint-based system and no complaint was made on yours?
It's a disappointing system.
Yeah.
And we're all dealing to stay compliant within this half-an-inch marker that it isn't a reasonable standard because sidewalks inherently have half-inch gaps all over.
That half-inch marker Kyle's talking about is the PBOT standard. If your sidewalk has a half-inch gap, lip, or dip, the city says it violates code. When they fixed it, the city also billed him for work that wasn't even on his property.
They did go beyond both property lines, billed me for it, until I did point out to them that they had made this mistake. Then they reduced the bill a sort of random amount.
In addition, the city also required Kyle to replace the cracked curbs along his sidewalk, curbs the city repeatedly uses to park their heavy machinery on. And that would include shutting down lanes of traffic, hiring flaggers, and jackhammering down more than a foot deep. But when he questioned the inspectors, they decided the curbs weren't really that bad.
They changed their mind after they came out and did my sidewalks. They changed their mind that the curbs were no longer an issue. They called it a field decision was made, and it wasn't necessary.
Still facing thousands of dollars in repairs, Kyle appealed to the city council
for sidewalk repairs.
In fact, he's the first Portland homeowner in 20 years to do so. PBOT presented its case using a picture that was not on Kyle's property. In fact, it wasn't even his sidewalk. He doesn't have any trees.
And this is a photograph of that hazard.
And carefully pointing out the grave danger.
These half-inch deviations are harder to see, especially at night, and often can result in trip and falls.
If that's the standard for hazardous sidewalks, the city's in trouble. Because we found what PBOT described as a danger on city-owned property at the Parks Department just up the street from Kyle's place. And this big hazard, so big we measured it with our iPhone. Again, it appears to be a code violation on city property right in front of a school. Heck, this is the sidewalk right in front of City Hall.
It feels like a double standard to a citizen that this is the expectation, and it doesn't feel like it's being upheld on a city level.
Kyle then testified the work wasn't needed because his sidewalks were safe.
There are no trees along my property pushing up the sidewalks, and there are no sinkholes, no tripping hazards whatsoever.
In fact, he added the contractors that the city used to fix his sidewalk actually made it worse and was not up to the city's own code. PBOT's website clearly states partial square replacement on sidewalks will not be done. But when they fixed Kyle's sidewalk, they left him with several partial triangles. one in particular that already appears to be violating code, and the city billed Kyle for the work.
I mean, it looks like it's sticking up more now than it was when he was told that he had to repair it.
Yeah.
What's the city's response when a repair is inadequate?
Sure, yeah. The work is guaranteed for 3 years, so we can go and fix that.
And have you done so?
We have not done so, no. I'm learning of this now.
Despite the commissioner's questions and obvious concerns,
we seem uniquely unqualified to hear this appeal, quite honestly.
The commissioners ruled against Kyle's appeal. Final cost, $4,825.
What do you take away from this whole experience?
It's tough to fight City Hall.
All right, when the city uses one of their contractors to repair your sidewalk, you pay for it. But they offer a 3-year guarantee on the concrete work. As Kyle pointed out, you can get a better guarantee on a used Hyundai. You can also do the work yourself, but you'll need a permit, and it's got to be within city code. Or you can hire your own contractor to fix your sidewalk. Kyle says these options were never mentioned to him. PBOT admits sidewalk improvement is not a perfect science, and these options need to be clearer to homeowners. They are now working to improve their policies.
A used Hyundai, huh?
Yeah.
So I know you opened with you can't fight City Hall, but
yeah.
So he's still lost. What's he do? What's his next option?
He does have an option. He can file a writ of review in circuit court, basically take this to circuit court. He says he's not going to do that because he believes in safe sidewalks and he's done trying to fight the system. But since PBOT and the city commissioners and the mayor were so adamant on how dangerous Kyle's sidewalks were when they ruled against him, kind of makes you wonder what the sidewalks look like in front of the mayor's house and the city commissioner's house. And our answer to that is stay tuned.
You went and checked them out.
Here we go.
And you'll have that for us. All right,
Thanks,
Chris, thank you.
Yep.
Portland police say officers found a large amount of weapons in the home of a man arrested outside of Portland Middle School. Police arrested Jonathan Messer Wednesday outside Hosford Middle School. Officers say he was yelling and taking his clothing off and holding a hatchet and knife. During his arrest, a sergeant was stabbed. He wasn't seriously injured. They then found out Messer was violating a restraining order and searched his home. Officers seized weapons, including an AR-15 and a shotgun, along with tactical gear and ammunition. He's now facing weapons charges.
Bizarre video there of some of the stuff the police deal with as we go to our continuing coverage tonight of 4 shootings in 4 weeks for Vancouver Police. It is highly unusual, and it has police leadership asking what's really going on here. KGW's Pat Dorris sat down with the chief, wanted to talk about all this. He joins us live at the police department tonight. Pat.
Well, Dan, the chief here obviously cares about his officers and about the community. But you can't help but wonder what's going on with so many shootings so close together.
Yeah, sure.
Vancouver's police chief knows the spotlight is on his department and his officers after 4 shootings in 4 weeks.
I would say, be patient and wait for the facts to come out.
The most recent shooting happened Thursday afternoon. Vancouver police say they were working a drug investigation and pulled over a man as part of that work. His family says the man's name is Carlos Hunter. Police said he's a known gang member. His family said he's turned his life around after getting out of prison. Either way, police say he had a gun, would not cooperate, and then something happened and 2 officers opened fire, killing Hunter.
We're putting human beings, police officers, into critical incidents like this and expect them to make a split-second decision that is not only impacting their own personal life, but the other person that's involved in it, and making decisions on behalf of the community safety.
Last week, 2 other Vancouver officers shot and killed a homeless man. Police say he was waving around what looked like 2 guns and pointing them at people. Investigators released side-by-side comparisons today showing the man's fake guns next to real ones. 2 weeks ago, another fatal shooting, this time involving a 16-year-old with a knife. And 3 weeks ago, a wild chase from Vancouver into Portland as police tried to arrest a man suspected as part of a murder. The Oregonian reports a Vancouver officer fired more than 40 bullets at the fleeing truck through the windshield of his police car. Police said someone in the truck was shooting back at them. Incredibly, no one was hurt by the gunfire. The chase ended when another Vancouver officer rammed the truck on I-84. Which is why we asked the chief, is it all just random? Or is there a problem with the officers' training?
So those are great questions, ones that I've asked myself more recently.
His answer, it's not the officers and it's not the training.
We spend a lot of resources towards training and really not experience elsewhere that I've worked. We have built-in training days into our work schedule, so we're ensuring that our folks are constantly being trained. And we send our trainers off to be trained to ensure that they're receiving information that is related to best practices for law enforcement.
All 4 of those shootings are still under investigation. By the way, I did get to ask the chief about, or rather Tim Gordon asked the chief about that crazy chase and all those bullets fired, and was that appropriate? And his answer was, well, he had not been formally briefed on the whole thing, but he could imagine reasons why it would be appropriate and reasons why it would not be appropriate. Back to you.
All right, we'll wait for more. Pat, thank you for wrapping it up for us.
Now to a Call Kyle investigation and more trouble for comedian Katt Williams. Just one day after he settled a case for his alleged assault of a town car driver, there are new complaints.
Yeah, not over yet here. The comedian allegedly left town without paying some of his bills. KGW investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi has more.
And court records show that Katt Williams has a history of financial and legal problems dating back more than a decade. And it appears trouble followed him to Portland during a brief stay late last year.
Get that maple bar with the bacon on it.
Troubled comedian Katt Williams is accused of leaving Portland without paying his bills.
It was a lot of work, no compensation, nothing to show for it.
AJ Van Loo of Vandalay Productions says the comedian owes him $1,200
Where's the production cost on this?
For a shoot last November at Dante's in downtown Portland.
These types of opportunities never really come up, not for me. We turned it on and just let it roll.
Van Loo scrambled to hire 3 camera operators and rented specialty equipment for the comedy show. A woman representing the comedian made a $400 down payment and explained the video could be used for an upcoming Netflix special.
Well, certainly it was exciting because it was a celebrity, and then when they started talking about the Netflix stuff, it's exciting for somebody that's a small business.
The unpaid invoice is just the latest problem for the comedian,
Let me get that coconut kale bowl with the kimchi.
who has a history of financial and legal problems in various cities. On Thursday, both criminal and civil cases against Williams were dismissed after he reached a financial settlement with a limo driver who he allegedly punched in the face at Portland International Airport after a dispute over transporting the comedian and his dog. After the October incident made headlines, a Las Vegas man came forward claiming Williams never paid for the service dog, telling the Oregonian newspaper Williams owed him $12,000 for the dog, which was later returned. Williams allegedly didn't pay other business owners as well, including a Portland food cart, which tells KGW the comedian left without paying for an order of nachos. It may not sound like much, but for small business owners,
there's lots of people out there that pay on time and are great, but then you get those few like this where they don't pay at all, and it really can hurt not only your business but everyone involved.
Van Loo admits he's disappointed. He's sitting on hours of unused video and a $1,200 invoice that hasn't been paid. We were not able to reach Williams for comment, and the woman who hired Vandalay Productions said she no longer works with the comedian. Back to you.
They say the guy didn't even pay for the nachos. Come on. Can't believe it. Kyle, thank you. If you have a story idea for Kyle to investigate, give him a call, 503-226-5041. You can also email callkyle@kgw.com.
We do have a traffic alert for you tonight. Northwest Germantown Road is closed right now between Skyline Boulevard and Kaiser Road because of what are described as icy conditions. Some people have already become stuck there. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office asks you to please avoid the area.